back on the land. I think the good warm weather is gone for good now. It's October 9th. So this time last year, everything that couldn't survive first frost was already dead. So these guys are still growing. These are the ornamental peas. And I've got a bunch of little zucchinis that are starting, which I doubt they'll get very big before they die. Here's a wild cat. I call him Rag in Lithuanian, which is skudrukas, because he looks like a rag. Hey, Raggy. Yeah, he comes by and he asks for food. I don't feed him so that he hunts the mice, because I have mice problems from time to time. Otherwise, here in the garden, the leeks are growing really well, and the chervil is starting to grow again. These are all self-sown, and the peas are gonna start forming very soon. Surprised how well they're doing. Look what I found. This looks like a definite oyster mushroom. And look where it's growing. Right in the middle of my land. I've got an oyster mushroom. I've still yet to taste it, but I've identified that oyster mushrooms have these gills that run all the way down the center. It's usually this sort of white or light brown color. It's soft. It doesn't have any scales. And it should smell sort of anisey or licoricey. Maybe? Can't say it doesn't, but I can't say it does. Cool. So here I'm intent on proving to the world and to myself that on shitty ground I can grow food basically anywhere. Potatoes especially. They don't take much effort. We'll return to experiment from April 24th when I planted a bunch of potatoes down in between these two layers. Got some potato here. I've got some more potato here. Ooh, yeah, this is a different plant. And there's some tiny potatoes. Where are the rest of these potatoes? So I take it there's about 4, 5 potatoes per plant for every one I planted earlier. I planted a lot, so yeah, I'm not gonna do all of this right now, but at least I have enough for a meal here. So regarding everything I've learned about my land and growing stuff on it in these 2 years, is that different things grow differently in different areas, which comes as an obvious, but I learned that my land is not good for growing many things like tomatoes or the luxury crops. Peas grow better in where the crappy soil is. A good example of like my soil quality isn't that good up there. However, the best garden or the best soil anywhere is here in the backyard. Those birches are on the other side of the road, which isn't my property anymore. However, the asparagus grow well here, and I grew these tomatillos both here. They've already dried up. They got too cold. I'm probably froze here. And the same ones grew here and also in the garden. But here, they're growing massive. They're breaking out of their shell. In the other garden, they're not that big. They're maybe a third of the size, and they're still not close to being ripe. So I'm realizing if I want to grow more seriously, I should make the most use of this land here. It's colder. So possibly using this higher up level will be the most beneficial. The only problem is that right now this gets very little sun in the fall because it gets a little bit of sun from there, but then it gets hidden behind the bushes, and yeah, and then it's gone. Whereas in the summer, the sun comes and it shines from back there, so it gets sun quite a bit throughout the day, and all the runoff from the rain and all the minerals that it leaches down, they end up here. The other thing I learned that here is it's likely to flood if you get a lot of rain one year. There wasn't much rain last year. It was a drought. However, this year they're in, I think it was May, June, or one of those months, and it rained so much that everything that I planted here, the fennel that I planted earlier, it all flooded because the water was up to this level. However, I replanted them afterwards, and they seem to be more cold resistant. They're growing really well here compared to the tomatoes and tomatillos and the basil, which the basil doesn't grow too well anywhere except for in the greenhouse. Also, nettle grows really well here. So I should be mulching more and preparing a garden for next year, like a pirate garden, things, one that I don't have to water much, but I can just mulch using the surrounding grasses, and I'd have to create a trail because these are very competitive. I just cut this like a week ago, and there's nettle growing everywhere. There's, yeah, really good ground, really good weeds growing. Last week I got very carried away when I was angling the camera. I will focus on keeping it straighter this week. Otherwise, I'm getting back to work digging the center hole. This is all garden soil, which I will transplant over to that side. I got a few wheelbarrows here. I discovered this apple tree, so I'm smothering out the weeds around it, and I'm looking for where to dump this soil because everything that's here is capable of becoming everything that's growing here. These are growing amazing. Look at this one beet. It's growing side by side next to a smaller one. But considering that I watered these a little bit in the beginning, but afterwards I haven't done anything. Here's some mibuna. Anyways, I'm gonna have a lot more room for this garden next Saturday morning. There was a little bit of clear sky this morning, but now it looks cloudy again. I did a little bit of work this morning. Here I dug out a bit more, but it was too cold to even handle this shovel for too long. So I took a long morning break, wrote in the journal for a while. Now I'm back to work. So digging out always goes a lot faster. I'm gonna have quite a garden there next year, I imagine. However, little by little, I'm cutting out the sides and I'm adding sand down. And I think I'm gonna backfill it with rocks just because I don't have enough sand there. And I don't know, I might even be able to use that pile over there. So, Sunday, anyone who's seen my progress on the foundation will is probably used to seeing a hole in the foundation, but I doubt you probably haven't seen it as a bowl. So this whole time I've been digging out the center and transferring it back there to the garden to use as it'll be a future garden bed. And here I'm going to backfill with all of this here. So I've got quite a bit of work ahead of me. I stabilized the edges so they wouldn't fall in. And yeah, now just to find some more motivation to keep going. So here's where I dumped all of the soil. A lot of it here. So all around here, eventually once I get around to it, I want to have more of what's growing here. I really like these amaranthus, though I imagine it's going to be too late for them to produce seeds. Otherwise, it's cool to note how these all turned out. I trimmed them right toward the end of their season, and you can see how they form beautifully. I'm gonna have to actually cut some of these branches to maintain this path, though. So I just cleared this area, and I dumped everything into the hole here. So I dumped the first layer down. I want to clear as much of this area so that if any future trucks come by, they can get through here. And then I'm gonna dump the rest of that sand, and I don't know, that pile over there, it's a mix of gravel and dirt of some kind. It might also work here. One difference with this is, as you can see, I didn't sift it. It rained quite a bit yesterday. This is the first sun in a few days, and it doesn't make any sense trying to sift it because it's all wet and globby. And I don't think it really matters here. This won't be holding too much weight as compared to the walls, just whatever the interior holds. So it should suffice. It's later in the day. I'm back after a break. I'm trying to fill this up, and what I'm doing now is I'm going by patch and clearing it to the ground level. So now I bring this onto here, and then it becomes a lot easier to shovel off of this. I just shovel it up, and it's a lot easier to go do without scratching up the bottom soil. What I like about this job is how diverse it is. Of course, I had to do a lot of repetitive thing like sifting out with this, but now I'm cleaning off the bottom, and I can't tell how many rocks are still here because many of the rocks are dug underneath. So I'm carefully cleaning it up and bringing it over to here, and little by little this is disappearing. I'm not going to clean it up perfect. I'll leave some rocks there. It will help to hold the ground down for wherever the road ends up being. That's progress. I just transplanted a grapevine not shown here and a bunch of onion seeds over in the here, and along this stretch. See if they grow. So this is what this driveway looked like before. This is what it looks like now. I just cleaned it up. I flattened it out so that I could get more stuff if I need to order rocks or pebbles from the quarry. And instead of making a loop around, I think it'll be a lot easier for the truck to get in and get out if he pulls up this way and then he backs up in this direction. I don't have anything I'm trying to guard here because this loop is not big enough for one of those large trucks carrying 20 tons of rocks. It's incredible when you consider how many rocks were here, how big this mountain was, and how long it took to get it all into there. Now it's really wet. It rained all night, over 12 hours, and I'm glad that I didn't fill this sifted out stuff on the top because, as it turns out, it's clay and gravel, which is good for mixing cob, but not good for the foundation. In any case, I don't think it should cause any problems where they're mixed in here with the rocks, because there's enough space in between the air pockets of these bigger rocks, so it shouldn't cause any damage. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to wait until a drier day to do some more work on this, because this stuff, it's so mucky and it's hard to shovel up, and yeah, there's really not much left to do here. I might be able to just use this and scatter it for the rest of the driveway. So in that case, I could even just go ahead and start filling that mountain of sand here in my greenhouse. Now that the weather is getting colder, I'm realizing that I need to get ready for returning back to the city, to my apartment, because I have nowhere I can stay warm, and if I'm not warm, I'm not very productive. I spend a lot of time running away to Rigodas's. So I just went ahead and tidied up the greenhouse. It was a mess before. When I look back and wonder where my time goes and all the times I don't remember, it's on small tasks like these. All of these boards that were originally here, I packed them here. All of the boxes that uh, all these trays for plants I stuck underneath here, and this comes as a nice comfy sofa now. It's more raised than before. And now I hope to be able to get to this rocket stove and use it now that it's cold and wet and damp everywhere and gray. Just to see what kind of stuff it is. This is what we're looking at here. This is the composition of this pile back here. Solution's got a lot of clay in it, so instead I'm deciding to backfill the sand into the center of the house here to level it out. With that stuff, I might be able to just mix it into some kind of cob use. I don't know, but I'd be happy if I can get an entrance to that workshop from the side if that mound disappeared. So now is the task of leveling this out. Once I'm done with this, it'll look like another site where almost nothing has been done. Here I finished cleaning out this rock pile, and I'm done with the sifting mechanism. Better look at it. I put together 2 sawhorses with a mattress on top, and underneath here is a smaller sifter to separate this clay with gravel from the small pebbles. And I added some adjustments to this. I added these to the side so that they wouldn't fall out. It was very useful. And I covered up this hole in between these 2 metals stands. And if I were to do this again, I would prepare this sifting mechanism from the beginning, and it'd be nice to have the center part movable and to be able to use more of the space, because I threw the soil onto here and lots of it would fall back onto here, so I would have to redig it. For this part of the foundation, I'm now considering what to do for insulation, whether I need to wait until I have a roof above me so I can mix clay slip with straw, which is the only natural insulator I know of, and I don't want to add it while it can still get wet and rain. So going forward, I think the next thing will be to build a frame bed once I'm ready to work with the the round wood timbers. This is the first day I've seen the sun all week. I'm heading back to Vilnius today. I'm starting my coach training courses tomorrow. And I'm wrapping up here on the land. It's unlike today. It's just been wet and rainy, and it's been harder to stay here and to stay productive. So I need to prepare a list of things, what I need to clean up, what I need help with to take out of here, and mulch anything for the next coming season. That all needs to be prepared ahead of time, because right now I want to go. Except not if it's going to be this sunny and nice, but this is the exception. I'm all packed here. Got some work for next time to wrap these around the small fruit trees. It's time to go. I'm glad it's not raining.